Vince McMahon reportedly has a $9 billion asking price for a WWE sale, reported with bids already being made and some being interested and further along in the process than others. Sami Zayn makes his Montreal, Quebec, Canada homecoming last night on SmackDown using his old theme once again on WWE programming. Bray Wyatt challenges Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley, seemingly setting up his WrestleMania 39 plan. Speaking of the event, Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins reportedly is 100% locked in for the showcase of the Immortals. A recent creative meeting discussed the likes of Jay White and Kota Ibushi coming into WWE. Randy Orton nears a WWE in-ring return. What's the latest on Matt Riddle's backstage status within the company? Carmelo Hayes reports of a possible Hurt Business addition on the main roster, and The Miz hits a half-court shot, nearly winning the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. Of course, tonight is Elimination Chamber in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. But first, we have to start off talking about the WWE sale. Yes, there's a lot going on when it comes to the sale, and WWE Executive Chairman Vince McMahon is looking to get as much as $9 billion in a potential sale of World Wrestling Entertainment. According to a report by Bloomberg, of course, WWE is the company he returned to run earlier this year, and he's looking for $9 billion, as I mentioned, according to people familiar with his thinking, which is a very interesting phrase. I'm familiar with his thinking, Vince McMahon, basically. Now, the company, according to Bloomberg, has already received offers, said the people, who requested that they not be identified because the discussions are private. WWE declined to comment. Shares of WWE rose as much as 4.9% to $91.48 Friday in New York. As of the close of Thursday, the asking price was 37% greater than the company's $6.5 billion market value. The stock has risen 30% this year, in part due to said takeover speculation. The 77-year-old McMahon is the WWE's controlling shareholder and reinstated himself as executive chairman in January to oversee a strategic review of the company. McMahon left the firm last year following revelations that he had paid millions of dollars to settle sexual misconduct claims. The list of potential buyers for WWE, according to Bloomberg, includes Endeavor Group Holdings Incorporated, the owner of Ultimate Fighting Championship, as well as investors from the Middle East who have already made major investments in golf and football, that being soccer to the Americans. Endeavor would need financial help from a third party since its market capitalization of $10.4 billion is only a bit more than what McMahon actually wants for the company. But the company has already shown it can integrate and grow a sports media business with a divisive founder in the UFC. Saudi Arabia is starting to make major investments in media and entertainment and has already expressed interest in buying Liberty Media Corp's Formula One. WWE Chief Executive Officer Nick Khan dismissed the report last month that the Saudis had already had a deal to buy the company as, quote, totally false. Larger strategic buyers, such as Netflix and Walt Disney, may be uneasy taking on a business controlled by McMahon that involves the sometimes messy personal lives of its wrestlers. McMahon learned the business from his father, an event promoter on the East Coast. He built WWE into an international entertainment powerhouse that packs arenas and airs programs regularly on Fox and Comcast USA Network. WWE is in the early stages of negotiations for its next TV deals and could renew its current agreements with Fox and Comcast. Any media company interested in airing the programs could also use this moment to buy the whole business. WWE has been one of the most popular draws for Comcast Peacock streaming service. Yet McMahon may not find buyers eager to pay his price considering the shaky global economy and rising interest rates. A valuation of $9 billion amounts to about 7 times the company's $1.29 billion in sales last year and 23 times its adjusted operating income before depreciation and amortization, both at the high end for the entertainment industry. So again, he's asking for a lot, but certainly curious that bids have already been put in or negotiations have already taken place, and Endeavor is a likely bidder for the company. Again, a name that was put out there previously, so if we get any more information, of course, we'll let you know here on the channel. But what are your thoughts? $9 billion, is that too much? Will WWE even get that? What are your thoughts on this entire situation? Of course, it is Elimination Chamber tonight, live on Peacock on the latest premium live event. And Sami Zayn, of course, is main eventing the show. And Sami Zayn is home and all of Montreal is behind him. During Friday's Go Home episode of SmackDown, and one night before he challenges Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at the Elimination Chamber event, Zayn made his way to the ring while his old entrance theme, Worlds Apart, blared behind him. In recent years, Zayn has tried to distance himself from the song, which was synonymous during his time in NXT, but just last week he admitted that, quote, "If it were gonna come back, I feel like that would be the time and place to do it." Instead, WWE pulled that particular trigger one night earlier, and all that could be heard from the Bell Centre in Montreal, Quebec, Canada was raucous applause. In fact, the applause continued for over 5 minutes before Zayn, who appeared to be holding back tears during the ovation, even had a moment to speak. But when his hometown finally allowed him to, the former NXT champion sent a very clear message to Reigns, quote, "This time of the year, everybody points to one thing," Zayn said while looking up and pointing at the WrestleMania sign. "Year after year, we tell everybody that it is the most important show of the year, and it's true. But for me, for this city, tomorrow night is once in a lifetime." Then after speaking a little French to Reigns and the capacity crowd, he loudly declared tomorrow night is not just Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. Tomorrow night is Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn and the entire city of Montreal. Roman, you are going down. Now, some people said, what did Sami Zayn say in French? Well, actually, he got a bit cursy with his words because he looked straight into the camera, and in French he said, "Roman Reigns, listen to me carefully. Tomorrow night, you're in my effing house." Yes, he swore in French, certainly. And again, it just goes to show, I mean, it was a moment. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. The segment, the ovation, the noise, everything was absolutely incredible. And some people, as I've been saying recently, are saying, hey, about that WrestleMania main event between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Given that ovation, given that reaction, given this moment, maybe plans might have to change. Sami Zayn is being proven to be a ratings draw, a merchandise draw. Anything certainly is possible. Who knows what can happen? Either way, we're going to find out tonight live at the premium live event. Now, SmackDown was newsworthy as well because we seemingly know what Bray Wyatt is going to be doing at WrestleMania, and we know who he could be facing off against. Suddenly, Bray Wyatt's road to WrestleMania feels like it just got a whole lot clearer. During Friday's edition of SmackDown, Wyatt, alongside Uncle Howdy, interrupted Hit Row and proceeded to take them out. Immediately after, the Eater of Worlds got on the mic and made his intentions known. No matter who survives Saturday's battle between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar at the Elimination Chamber event, Wyatt will be waiting. Quote, "Tomorrow night, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, whichever one of you walks out alive, whichever one of you is the winner, no, you should run," Wyatt said to the crowd in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Despite returning to the company at Extreme Rules last October, Wyatt has only wrestled in one televised singles match, a victory over LA Knight in the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match at the Royal Rumble. And while he's wrestled only once since returning, Wyatt and Uncle Howdy have made their presence felt on multiple occasions. Meanwhile, Lashley and Lesnar have traded victories dating back to last year's Royal Rumble when the Almighty became the new WWE champion at Brock Lesnar's expense. Granted, he had some help from Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman in doing so. The Beast Incarnate eventually evened things up with a victory at Crown Jewel, but was eliminated by Lashley during the men's Royal Rumble match last month. And here we are now with Saturday night, tonight's showdown, serving as the rubber match of sorts. Now, it turns out Lashley was actually watching the segment on SmackDown last night. Taking to Twitter, Bobby Lashley wrote, quote, "Once I put Brock to bed tomorrow, you get your wish. Creep," at WWE #SmackDown. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see who indeed Bray Wyatt does face off against. It could be Brock Lesnar in a first time ever meeting between the two. At one point, it was actually teased that we were going to get Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 32 in 2016 before WWE shifted their plans, and instead Brock Lesnar faced Dean Ambrose that year at WrestleMania, and Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family were involved in a segment with John Cena and The Rock. So either could happen. We could see the Wyatt Six versus the Hurt Business, or we could see Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar. What would you like to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, speaking of Bray Wyatt as well, more has been announced for next week's edition of SmackDown. Could Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley be invited into the Firefly Funhouse next week on SmackDown? It was later revealed after the Bray Wyatt segment that Wyatt will be bringing back his popular Firefly Funhouse segment on next week's show, which could possibly mean Wyatt once again showing fans a different side to his ever-evolving character. Wyatt has been switching back and forth between his various personas personas since returning to WWE programming last October, making cameos as his Wyatt family cult leader persona on January 13 and his Firefly Funhouse persona on January 20 during his feud with LA Knight. Wyatt has also strongly hinted at bringing back The Fiend, despite pronouncing The Fiend died that day in Tampa, Florida, following Alexa Bliss's infamous betrayal at WrestleMania 37 back in 2021. Of course, the last time we saw The Fiend on WWE programming prior to Wyatt being released by the company. So, who knows? It does feel like maybe a shift in plans because maybe plans involved Alexa Bliss. And of course, Alexa Bliss is currently on hiatus from WWE for an unknown reason. So instead, it looks like we're going to get Wyatt versus either Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Speaking of WrestleMania, I mean, it's not too much of a surprise, but it would appear that we are going to get Seth freaking Rollins versus Logan Paul. At the Royal Rumble, Logan Paul returned at number 29 in the men's Royal Rumble match, its first appearance since Crown Jewel in October 2022. Or November 2022 rather. Besides a memorable spot with Ricochet, the most notable moment for Paul during the bout was when he eliminated Seth Rollins from the Rumble match. Since then, the two competitors have traded barbs on social media during interviews. And the February 13 edition of Raw, Rollins addressed his issues with the social media star during his Miz TV segment. PW Insider has confirmed that Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul is 100% set in stone for the WrestleMania 39 card. As previously reported, Rollins went on a tirade about Paul, claiming he is in it for himself during an interview on the Pat McAfee show. Rollins, of course, will compete in the United States Championship Elimination Chamber match with Austin Theory, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford at tonight's event in Montreal. So I guess it would be expected that Rollins won't be winning that match, and he is going to be facing Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Lots of talk recently about free agents and WWE circling several, particularly some former New Japan stars, and I guess one current New Japan star that may not be a New Japan star for much longer. A recent report has suggested that WWE Creative was instructed to come up with ideas for prospective free agents. Give Me Sport spoke to WrestleVotes and were told, quote, "In the middle of January, there was a decent-sized meeting which involved a lot of the creative team and marketing people. It was about prospective free agents with people of all sorts being brought up. Jay White was obviously on the list." Now, he, of course, recently lost a Loser Leaves Japan match and is going to face Eddie Kingston in a Loser Leaves New Japan match at the New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle in the Valley event today. There have been earlier reports that WWE was prioritizing a, quote, much bigger free agent than Jay White, according to Dave Meltzer. Who that is, we don't know, but we did do an update on Kenny Omega's AEW contract last night, so keep an eye out for that one. Be sure to check it out after this video. White has also recently discussed his future in wrestling, saying, quote, "So much is possible. Impact, AEW, WWE, we'll see." Now, WrestleVotes would also tell Give Me Sport that Kota Ibushi's name was also one of the prospective free agents that were being brought up in the meeting. Ibushi recently stated that he would be willing to work for WWE if he were able to train wrestlers in the WWE Performance Center as well as wrestle, something that you would think WWE would be open to doing. So certainly interesting that those discussions have been taking place. Randy Orton, how close is the Viper to returning to WWE in-ring action? Well, of course, Randy Orton has been sidelined since May due to a serious back injury. In November, the Viper reportedly had surgery to fuse his lower back, an operation that left Fightful sources in doubt about the multi-time world champion returning to the ring. Orton's wife Kim shared a selfie from the hospital on November 14 of Orton in a hospital bed after he was spotted in Birmingham, Alabama, where many WWE stars go for surgical operations and rehabilitation. Since then, Orton's status has remained unknown. In an update, Dave Meltzer noted in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that a story was going around regarding Orton contacting his bootmaker for new wrestling boots, which we spoke about previously here on the channel. While there is no current time frame for his potential in-ring return, this news suggests the 42-year-old is looking at returning. It was also noted that Orton physically looked like he had been training heavily, as evident by recent photos that have circulated on social media. Orton hasn't been seen in the ring since he and Matt Riddle lost the Raw Tag Team Championships to the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos, in a unification match on May 20. Collectively known as RK Bro, Orton and Riddle had two tag team title reigns that are combined 216 days after they started teaming in April 2021. The third-generation superstar has been with the company for over 2 decades and has plenty of accolades to show, including 14 World Championship reigns. Orton is also a 4-time Tag Team Champion, a 2-time Royal Rumble winner, and a multi-time WrestleMania headliner. So certainly the Viper, the Apex Predator, could be on his way back to WWE at some point when We still don't know. But speaking of Orton, what's going on with Matt Riddle as well? Because he's been off WWE television too for different reasons. Matt Riddle hasn't been seen on WWE programming for a while. He last appeared on the December 5 episode of Monday Night Raw. WWE ran an injury angle to write Riddle out of the storylines, and it was Solo Sikoa who put him out of action on screen. Of course, in real life, Riddle was reportedly suspended for a second drug test violation and sent to rehab. In a new report from the Wrestling Observer, it was noted that Riddle's name hasn't been mentioned in the backstage area. With that said, it's reportedly quite normal for those behind the scenes to not discuss a suspended talent in order to keep their inevitable return a surprise. It was also noted that Riddle would have been eligible to return on February 3rd as he reached the typical 60-day mark for a second wellness violation. It also appears that WWE's policy regarding suspensions has been changed, as neither of Riddle's suspensions were publicly announced by the company. Late last month, the Observer reported that Riddle was out of rehab and had received his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Daniel Gracie. During an appearance on After the Bell with Corey Graves back in October, Riddle admitted that his personal life was in shambles. He said in terms of his professional career, however, he felt things were amazing. There is no word on whether Riddle will be factored into WrestleMania plans this year. If WWE does plan to bring him back in time for the grandest stage of them all, then a feud with Sikoa could be an obvious path for Riddle, or maybe it would involve Randy Orton if he is also able to return, but as of right now, his status is kind of unknown. Now, Carmelo Hayes had been rumored to possibly be joining the Hurt Business, according to a report by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. He said that WWE had been discussing plans for Carmelo Hayes to join the Hurt Business upon his main roster call-up. In a tweet on Friday, Mello responded to call the accuracy of the report in question with a funny post. He tweeted out, quote, "I rate the accuracy of this report 1 star." At NXT Vengeance Day, Carmelo Hayes came out to tease an NXT Championship match against Bron Breakker following his steel cage victory over Grayson Waller. Reports and television have further teased that Hayes and Breakker will be the potential main event of NXT Stand and Deliver, which is on April 1st during WrestleMania 39 weekend, which is interesting because one would think Bron Breakker is going to go up to the main roster, so if Hayes wins the title, that would appear that he's not going to be joining the Hurt Business anytime soon. One would think. And it's always funny to see Meltzer get called out by WWE talent because it does happen quite a bit. Finally, this is amazing. I mean, it didn't actually count, but it's still amazing. The Miz channeled his inner Steph Curry during Friday night's NBA All-Star Celebrity Game, draining a half-court shot that nearly secured the victory for his trailing squad of celebrities. Unfortunately for the WWE superstar and Team Ryan, led by Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith, the half-court shot was waved off by the referee, much to the relief of Team Dwayne, which prevailed with an 81-78 win. It's worth noting that there's a four-point line set a yard behind the traditional three-point line as part of the NBA's All-Star Celebrity Game rules. As such, Miz had the opportunity to be a hero for his team. Despite the loss, the Miz's buzzer-beating shot caused a lot of excitement at the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City, notably with Giannis running up and down the court when the wrestler drained his Hail Mary. The Miz's shot has also since gone viral on social media, with many mainstream media outlets replaying the clip across their platforms. Go and watch it. It's incredible. Again, it's a real shame that it didn't count because it was just amazing, but it's one of those ones where it doesn't count and it's annoying, but the fact that he made the shot anyway is pretty awesome. Pun intended. So there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster by clicking that join button. You get your badges, your emojis, your members priority chats, and your exclusive members-only content that is coming soon, including historic match watch-alongs, especially as we get closer to WrestleMania, interviews, debate shows, you name it, it's all coming. Have a great Saturday, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.